You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of truth. A dimension of freedom. A dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
Hello, everybody. Yes, where reason meets reality. Welcome to the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and the vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Leibowitz. We call the show Liebegrino, just for those of you out there wondering. Leibowitz has a few shows of his own, though. Rational Egoist, Everyday Ethics. Michael, tell us what's going on those shows. I know you got some good stuff coming up recently. What's going on?
I'm hemorrhaging followers on Twitter. That's the first thing.
Well, this sounds apropos. If you are out there putting out controversial opinions, people are going to leave.
Yeah, that's what happens. You can't, especially when you're involved in the sort of advocating capitalism space. The circular firing squad is up and running.
But I wish they would hit themselves instead of us in a way, because we end up losing followers and influence, and nothing happens.
Yeah. I want to know though. I'm interviewing Newt Witkowski today. He's an epidemiologist. He's going to tell me about what went wrong with COVID. So I'm looking forward to that. Although I'm going to have to do far more listening than I do talking, because I don't know much about epidemiology. But did you watch my debate? You said you were going to watch it.
Yes. I have not watched it yet because.
Yes, I have not watched it.
Hold on. I have not watched it yet because I was too insanely busy. What you have to understand is when my wife is here, when I get through all my training to get home, there's one person she wants me to pay attention to, and that is her, because she's not around for months and months and months and months and months. I do not disagree with this. If I disagreed with it, I'd say, no, you do your own thing. I'll do my thing for a while. It will happen. I guarantee it.
All right. Can I just blow up your entire...
I can't wait to actually watch
You can't wait. Okay. Do you remember telling me when you were going to watch this?
Yes.
What did you say?
I was gonna watch it yesterday while I was on my way to. Okay, here's the thing. I was gonna watch it yesterday on my way to the academy.
Yes.
Here's what
you told me you were gonna do.
I have a friend who's 80 years old, who's extremely frail and sick, and I had to call him up. I had to bring food to his house. I had to do all kinds of stuff to help him out, and I had to make sure he was eating his food. So I literally stayed on the phone with my friend until I got to the academy to make sure he was cooking food and eating food while I was there. So I apologize for that, but this guy's been my friend for like 30 or 40 years.
Okay, this guy's not like Snuffleupagus, I hope.
Like Snuffleupagus?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Do you know who Snuffleupagus is?
Sort of.
What?
Sort of.
How do you not know?
I had a stilted childhood, my friend. I wasn't brought up on maybe some of the things that you were brought up on.
You still know who Snuffleupagus was. Big Bird's friend, and everybody thought.
I never watched Sesame Street.
Well, how'd you know it was Big Bird was on Sesame Street?
Because I know that.
Okay, well then you can know who Snuffleupagus is. So, anyways, Snuffleupagus was the friend that everybody figured Bird was imagining, because whenever it came time to meet Snuffy had to go. So they'd show up and know Snuffy.
It's sort of like Dustin's girlfriend in Stranger Things.
No, I'm heterosexual. I didn't watch Stranger Things. Okay. Can we move on to some stories? Rock Chartrand is getting very impatient.
Wait, first of all, I just need you to know that my reasoning for not watching or listening to the show during my trip to the academy was completely justified, because I was helping a buddy.
What about in the drive back?
Needed my help. Same thing. I told him I would call him back because I need him to keep eating meals because he's losing strength. And at 80 years old.
All right. I'll accept it.
Thank you. So this time, though, I am going to be listening to it because I'm dying to hear you kick his ass. Okay. So the first thing you gave me here was something from Trump's.
Rock has a question, but I think we talked about this yesterday. I'm not sure. I sent you the article on it yesterday.
Well, go ahead. What does it say? Breaking Trump announces.
steps to ban large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. People live in homes, not corporations. View on this. Fascism. That's my view on it. It's utterly disgusting. I'm sure that some of our friends will continue to tell us that this left-wing garbage is necessary to defeat the left. Because remember, that's what's important, is to defeat the left. And it's not left for Trump to control money from oil proceeds. It's not left for Trump to buy stakes in corporations on behalf of the government. It's not left for Trump to do shit like this to protect the little guy. None of that's the left. We must fight the left, and Trump is the guy to do it.
Yeah, Michael, people have a constitutional aversion to the fact that a large company buys a large number of homes and they think they keep those homes, hold on to them, drive up prices, and they think it creates a kind of monopoly and worse, shortages. That is, in fact, not the case.
Did you share this from X? Because the view is way down.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I just did. So it'll start popping up pretty soon.
You just did?
No, I did it before. I did it as the show was starting while you were talking.
I can see it. I can see it. You did it.
Of course
I can see it. Okay.
I don't lie, Michael. I don't lie.
Well, you don't, but you do come up with some weird theories. But we do have this president is not the savior. He's not the combatant of the left that so many like to. I don't know if it's willful evasion or what it is, but
I genuinely think that a lot of the MAGA people feel so marginalized and beat up and condescended to by the left that emotional thing is still carrying over, despite all of the evidence that should be showing them this guy is not in their corner at all. He's in his own corner. He's aggrandizing himself. He doesn't give a fuck about you. You're a tool. You're something he can use to further his agenda. I'm not even sure what that is exactly, other than his self-aggrandizement. And this shows in his post on Truth Social, which I want to read the entirety of, Michael, because it's so fucking absurd.
You share that. You tell them what it is.
Remember for all those big NATO fans, they were at 2% of GDP, and most weren't paying their bills until I came along.
Okay, I don't think that's what we're the post though, Mark.
No,
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but it doesn't.
It's a massive braggadocio, though.
Oh, that's what you wanted to point out. Okay, then go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so the USA was foolishly paying for them. I respectfully got them to 5% GDP, and they pay immediately. Everyone said that couldn't be done, but it could, because beyond all else, they are my friends. They are all my friends. This I highly doubt. Without my involvement, Russia would have all of Ukraine right now. So before, they wouldn't have even invaded. Now, without his involvement, they would have the entirety of the Ukraine, not just the Donbass.
Yeah, he's working miracles.
Working miracles right now. Remember also, I single-handedly ended 8 wars.
He did.
Okay. And Norway and NATO, remember, foolishly chose not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize. There it is, Michael. Can you believe this?
I can.
Probably the entire reason for his involvement in Venezuela right now, and the reason he's cutting Machado out of the entire democratic process, is because he's still miffed about the fucking Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter, he says. Of course it doesn't matter. What does matter is that I saved millions of lives. Russia and China had zero fear of NATO without the United States, and I doubt NATO would be there for us if we really needed them. Everyone is lucky that I rebuilt our military in my first term and continue to do so. We will always be there for NATO, even if they won't be there for us. The only nation that China and Russia fear and respect is the DJT rebuilt USA. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump.
You know, I had a guy that used to follow me on Facebook, and finally I had to block him, who every time he would come on to talk, he would say, not on my show, but on the Facebook page, he would type, "You just don't understand Donald John Trump." Like everything was Donald John Trump. And I'm like, dude, you're warped. So Ann M says, maybe if someone showed what it's really like to fight the left, they could show how Trump isn't really fighting them. Okay. Ludwig von Mises, Henry Hazlitt, Ayn Rand. That's how you fight the left.
That's exactly how you fight the left. And
you don't do it by joining them. I promise you that.
Correct. You don't do it, which, by the way, the Republicans say stealing the issue from them. When they join them, they're actually taking the issue from them and making it their own, Michael, which is supposed to be 4D chess. So when you take that issue from them, issues like entitlements, and you own it yourself and say, well, we're actually for these things too, you rob them of their moral power, right, according to these guys.
I'm going to dismantle Ann M here for a minute. She says, that's how you fought them 60 years ago. Okay, Ann M. So let's just put something clear here. So when I say use Mises, Rand, Hazlitt, I'm talking about actually arguing for the Constitution. I'm talking about actually arguing for capitalism, actually arguing for morality. That's how they fought them. Now, obviously, 3 people can't do it on their own, right? And there are a lot of organizations out there that have picked up that mantle. But let's look at your Republican Party. And let's see, what did the Republican Party do 60 years ago? So 60 years ago would be what? 1965. They ran Barry Goldwater, who was okay. Also advocated to use antitrust laws against unions, which cuts himself off at the knees as an advocate of capitalism. Okay, well, what did the Republicans do next? They nominated who? Wait, Richard Nixon, a liberal Republican who started so many alphabet agencies, you'd think he was the one giving the alphabet exercises on Sesame Street. Okay, who took over when Nixon turned out to be a lying scumbag? Gerald Ford. Again, not somebody advocating to really fight the left. All right, next, who was it? Oh, it was Reagan. I kind of like Reagan. I think he did a lot of good. He was a great communicator, took on the USSR. But wait a second. He also embraced the religious right. Right? He also embraced the religious right. Didn't really push to abolish Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare, any of that stuff.
Or to privatize the schools, like you said.
Or to privatize the schools. He did call for massive tax cuts, some deregulation, which is good. But he certainly wasn't arguing from the position of an Ayn Rand or a Ludwig von Mises or a Henry Hazlitt. Who came after him? Herbert Walker, read my lips. There will be no new taxes. Bush. Yet he raised taxes. He got us into a silly fight with Iraq. Wasn't a big advocate of capitalism. How could he when he had previously called tax cuts voodoo economics? But then who came after him? Medicaid Part D, nation building, home ownership society, faith-based coalition, W, no child left behind, W. And then, of course, they had McCain, not an advocate of capitalism. He ran. Then Romney, who's now saying we need more taxes on the wealthy, and then followed by Trump. So the way has been shown to fight. It's just that the gutless, cowardly Republicans who are supposed to be taking up the mantle are actually statist socialists like themselves. So that's why they haven't done it. So you want to tell me that's how it was fought 60 years ago, but it really wasn't. It was shown, but it was not picked up by the Republican Party. That evidently, and you still support. You say Bush's weakness is a big part of how we got Trump. Okay, it's how we got Trump. Trump, who's opposed to nation building. Oh, wait a second, except for that's what he wants to do in Venezuela. Trump, who's opposed to nation building, except for, wait a second, didn't Trump call for nation building in Gaza? Or is that just my imagination?
Oh, he's the chairman of the board of nation building.
Yeah, in Gaza. Trump, the enemy of socialism. But wait, is he going to get rid of any of the entitlement programs? No. What he's going to do is buy shares in companies, implement tariffs, threaten companies that they better lower their prices or there will be price controls. He's also now putting a stop to corporations being able to buy homes. Oh, and let's throw on the champion of free speech that is Trump, threatening media outlets because they're giving him negative
suing them and winning.
And his little ego can't handle it. So Ann M., with all due respect, don't tell me how somebody needs to show how to fight the left. We fight them all every day right here. Trump is not the fighter to the left. He's not. The Republicans aren't and never have been. So we can pretend, we can make believe. But again, anybody out there who wants to come on and argue about how Trump is the answer to fight the left and how the left is so much worse, I'm here. I will take on all comers. No disrespect, very respectful debates. Here I am, because this is not the way to fight the left. This is in the imagination of people who have had their feelings hurt, hate Barack Obama and what he stood for, and like that Trump said that he had a fake birth certificate.
Yeah, I would say that there has.
principle.
I would say there hasn't been a Republican alive that has actually stood for free markets. The closest I think we could get, Michael, is about 100 years ago with Harding and Coolidge, but even they weren't free market guys. What Rand gives us, Hazlitt too, the Mises, the Austrian school gives us a great understanding of the principles of economics. But what Rand does that no other person did, I think, up until her time. So let's say this great argument has taken place from the 40s to the 50s, is to justify capitalism on moral grounds. There is not a single Republican out there that justifies capitalism on moral grounds. And when they
that's not hold, but well, they try to sometimes.
Yeah, but the way they try to do it, Michael, is by saying, look, the dollar that you earn is a certificate of service. This is a service economy. That means in order to make money, you produce values that help other people. So they do it from an altruist perspective. And it's true that, yes, when you earn money, you're creating value and you're actually making other people's lives better. But the primary reason for that is for your own benefit. And to unapologetically embrace that would be a step forward for people, Michael. Deeper Diego says Republicans and conservatives today conveniently forget that Bill Clinton, paired up with the Republican Congress, actually improved the economy, unlike any Republican in recent memory. This is true. You may not like it. I wasn't a fan of Bill Clinton either, but one thing he had was a bit of political acumen. He could tell which way the winds were blowing, and he had enough of a mind to go along with the rational policies that some of these Republicans were putting forward. At the time, that was Newt Gingrich. And some of those policies actually, for the first time, gave the government, well, I guess in Washington terms, some forms of surpluses. We certainly weren't out of control in the way that we are now. What are you laughing at?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rock Chartrand. He says thank you to us for his $5 super chat. What I'm laughing about is I was I thought obviously joking when we were talking about Stranger Things, and I said I don't watch it. I'm heterosexual. It was a joke toward Mark, but Katie Ellis is very upset about this. What does she says? Heterosexual people watch Stranger Things too.
But that's not true, Katie. That's not true. I just watched it.
It's only the gays.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, see, I learned something new. I was joking.
I'm happily gay. I'm happily gay, which to me means happy. So it's a redundancy. To say happily gay means I'm happily happy.
That's anyway. What's that called when you do that? Pleonism for one. It's pleonistic, but there's also a tautology. It's a tautology. Ian Gilmore says he's one straight guy who watched it. Well,
Yeah, I'm actually straight. I love.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I was very sad that it's gone, Michael, and you should watch it yourself.
No,
I think you'll be quite impressed, especially with Steve and Dustin. Great duo. There was a lot of anxiety over the fact that Steve might die and Dustin might die because they had a great friendship, great chemistry. They're the two best actors of the show too, so they made the entire show. I certainly didn't want to see Dustin die because he was amazing. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Can
we get to ICE? We got to talk about ICE. ICE story. We got a lot going on.
So, folks, recently, a poor woman by the name of Renee Nicole Good, and I may be editorializing by saying poor woman, she was shot recently by ICE agents. Now, there's tons of video, fortunately for us, about this incident, because the Department of Homeland Security is claiming that, well, she was in her car, she was ordered to get out of her car. Of course, now there are contradictory statements. She was ordered to leave the area. She was ordered to get out of her car. If you're in that situation, what do? I don't know. But apparently, one of the ICE agents was in front of her bumper as she was trying to move and shot her 3 times in the face, killing her instantly. Now, of course, Minnesotans are up in a riotous mood over this, as I think they should be. as an egregious overstep on the part of government and an illegal use of force against a human being who was simply trying to leave. Now, the narrative for the DHS, Michael, is that she was a terrorist. She was a terrorist attempting a terrorist act and weaponizing her vehicle against ICE. Now, I saw 3 videos. I don't know how many videos you've seen from 3 separate angles, and not a single one of them convinced me that she was trying to use that vehicle as a weapon. It looked like she was simply trying to get out of the way.
Okay. So I sent you this kind of for this purpose because I have no clue. I've seen a bunch of different angles and a bunch of different explanations, different people saying that it proves their point. I have no idea. I've heard that she was given contradictory orders. I don't know if that's true. I've heard she was part of a protest. I don't know if that's true. I think that there's this rush to judgment about things that occurs that is not good. When something like this happens and people are all over social media, this is murder, she's a terrorist, whatever. I think that's not good. I think we need to wait to find things out sometimes. The idea that she's a domestic terrorist, when the government keeps calling everybody they don't like terrorists, we need to be concerned. Because whatever this woman was, regardless of her culpability, regardless of who was right or wrong, she's not a domestic terrorist, right? Let's come on. Let's be clear. The problem is, Katie, and she puts it in all, capitals. He shot her 3 times in the face. Okay, I get it. The problem is police are trained to fire in bursts. So the fact that he fired multiple times is not evidence that he did something wrong. That's one of the reasons that I want to wait, because first of all, I don't know the law. I don't know the law in Minnesota about how, what's murder, what's not. I don't know ICE protocol. There are a lot of factors that I'm unaware of. Now, maybe there's people in the audience that know this stuff and can come to a reasonable conclusion on this. I'm not. All I'm saying is that multiple shots fired does not necessarily mean that it was overblown. That's not the thing. Like, I remember when there was this kid, I can't remember his name now. He had a toy gun and he was shot, I think in Cleveland, the 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And a guy I
don't remember if it was Cleveland, but I remember that story.
Yeah, and a guy I was arguing with in prison said they shot a 12-year-old kid, and I said his age is entirely irrelevant. It does not matter. The shooting might have been bad, but his age is irrelevant. I don't care if you're 7. If you point a weapon at me, a gun, I'm taking you out. And if the cop had reason to believe this kid had a gun, then he could take him out if he's shooting at him, if he thinks the kid's going to shoot at him. So I don't know enough yet. I'm always skeptical of claims coming from the government, especially when Donald Trump says that the ICE agent is in the hospital and it's amazing that he's recovering.
No.
Yeah, when that's obviously a lie. So, and when Kristi Noem repeatedly lies, and when they say domestic terrorist, I'm very skeptical of the claims. But I've seen, maybe 15 different angles and everybody claiming that their angle proves the point. So for me personally, I'll wait.
I think that's wise. I just want to say, as somebody who's trained extensively in gun use, yes, you are trained to fire your weapon until the subject stops moving. In other words, the threat is completely neutralized. That's why when people get all up in arms about 50, 60 shots being fired, usually they're fired by 3 or 4 cops at the same time, rapid firing until the subject is no longer moving. As long as they are moving, they can still kill you. This ain't the movies, folks. I've seen people I have a series called 3 Seconds From Now that analyzes gunfights between cops and between civilians and criminals. I've seen people be shot multiple times and still kill the person who's trying to defend himself. So, one, you have to shoot until the person stops moving. That's a fact. In this case, however, every angle that I saw, and this could be me, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the man was not trapped on the hood of her car or in front of her bumper. In fact, what I saw was a man move to the side of the car, completely out of harm's way, and fire his weapon through the window and the driver's side window at the woman. So he was completely clear of being injured by her. And I didn't see her moving fast either. I saw her moving in the way somebody would if they were making a 3-point turn and driving down the road. Now, I'm drawing conclusions based on my perceptions that could be missing all kinds of context. But Michael, one of the things they said about her was that she was a professional agitator. Now, there is no evidence to suggest she's a professional agitator.
No, the government has been, the follow-up, the government has been disgusting. But I have seen a video. Like, I don't know how far back the interaction started. For instance,
Or do I?
Yeah, I've heard that they're blocking traffic.
Right.
So I don't know
And
the
she
whole
was
context.
she was across the track. She was.
Yeah, I've also seen where she basically hits a guy, or a car hits a guy. I don't even, you know what I mean? With AI, with everything else, I'm just going to wait, especially given that somebody I highly respect that has a background in law told me that he's confident when I know the facts personally, I won't accuse the ICE agent of murder.
All right, that's I think that's the wiser.
Yeah. So when someone I respect tells me that, when I don't know the context, I don't know, like, were they giving her contradictory orders? Was somebody telling her get out and somebody telling her to drive away?
This is what some people are saying.
Yeah, but is it true? I don't know. I'm confident she's not a domestic terrorist.
Well, I just want to give a little background on her because,
Katie Ellis, though, I'll give her this. Katie Ellis is absolutely certain that she knows the down low. Maybe she does. Maybe she's seen things that I haven't seen.
Katie, I don't think
information.
The down low. I hate to tell you, I don't think you know the down low. None of us really do at this point. There's just too much information out there for us to sort through. But according to Grok, her background was she was a mother of 3, including a 6-year-old son, now orphaned after her second husband's death in 2023. Originally from Colorado Springs, she moved to Minneapolis from Kansas City, Missouri in the past year. She was a U.S. citizen with no criminal history beyond a traffic ticket. Previously, she worked as a dental assistant and at a credit union, but had been a stay-at-home mom in recent years. She held a degree in English with a focus on creative writing from Old Dominion University, graduating in 2020, was an award-winning poet, played guitar as a hobby, and was described by family as a devoted Christian who was compassionate, kind, loving, forgiving, and affectionate. So far, not necessarily the narrative of a rabid, slobbering terrorist who wants to murder ICE agents. Certainly not.
No.
So that's a little bit of background on her, according to Grok. I guess we're going to have to wait for the next couple of months to see how this plays out, Michael. But it doesn't look good. ICE is not winning friends and influencing.
I'm not a fan of ICE even be there. As far as I'm concerned, we could abolish ICE. But now Bonnie Bertrand says that this woman and her wife were ICE observers. She follows them around during the day and annoys them.
Which is considered now a federal crime according to ICE.
Well, that's absurd.
Which is absurd. So, folks, ICE is ushering in a whole new generation of policing and immunity of the police of the policing world from the Constitution. If anything, just for that reason alone, I think if I were king, I would abolish ICE instantaneously. That's just
Mark?
Yes.
But the thing is that this is one of the dangers when you start militarizing the cities, when you start sending agents in to gather people up, you create extremely volatile situations.
Yes.
That is a very serious problem.
Here again, the prohibition of drugs, the prohibition of free movement of individuals always introduces violence into the equation, folks. If you want a peaceful world, you should join the American Capitalist Party. Go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org. We have solutions for stuff like this that don't result in the deaths of citizens or the intrusion of law enforcement upon the rights of individual citizens. Michael, a new food pyramid was released.
I'm looking for something. So you talk about that. I'm trying to find a video.
So the Trump administration. Okay, you can do that while I do this. The Trump administration announced a new federal dietary guidelines yesterday, urging Americans to eat more protein and dietary and dairy, and for the first time, formally advising against highly processed foods. The latest advice is depicted in an inverted pyramid with proteins, dairies, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats like avocados lumped together at the top. Whole grains are de-emphasized at the bottom. The graphic replaced the MyPlate visual introduced in 2011, which I'm not familiar with. I never look at these things because I figure they're mostly motivated by food lobbies that are trying to get their, to get their interests into these pyramids, which advises roughly equal proportions of grains and vegetables, smaller servings of protein and fruit, and a side of dairy. Notably, the Trump administration's update moves away from limits on all fats, instead emphasizing different fat qualities. It also abandons daily limits on alcohol in favor of more general advice to drink less, and advises up to doubling protein intake. I'm not against that. More on Americans' current protein surge in an audio. Updates will be reflected in federal nutrition programs directly affecting estimated 1 in 4 Americans. I wish the federal government would get out of the nutrition business, don't you?
That's why I sent it. I really don't care what they say, what they don't say. I just wish they weren't involved. They don't need to be involved in telling us what to eat. I don't give a shit what they say. I can study for myself and learn myself and make my own goddamn choices. And if I want a fucking Snicker bar, I'm having a Snicker bar.
Amen to that. There's a Dr. Ids on Facebook for anybody who wants to follow him. He's a doctor who also has a master's in nutritional health, and he pointed out all of the food lobbies that were engaged in helping to create this food pyramid, Michael. So just like the old food pyramid, it's people with government influence and privileges asserting their will and telling us what we should eat. You can't trust this shit when it comes from the government. Go to your doctor, have a personal relationship with a nutritionist, sort out what works out for your body. Fuck these food pyramids. They've been wrong in the past. They're wrong now. They're ruled by lobbyists for dairy, for their big meat. All of these organizations that have power. Fuck them. Please do what you think is best for your body.
We have, I think, a new viewer because I've never seen him, but responding to the guy who used to tell me, you don't understand Donald John Trump. This guy says, you just don't understand Elmer John Fudd. All right. I've got the video. I want to watch this video. And I want, Mark, if you've seen this, just let me know. Where'd it go? Okay. Because this is a different angle.
I've seen this angle.
Okay. So
but I want to see it anyway.
Okay. So right there, a guy gets hit.
You call that hit? You call that hit? Wait, roll it back again.
Roll back that beautiful beaten footage?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I call that hit. He doesn't get run down. He gets hit with a car. I mean, with that car. The person driving that car. Now, again, here's the problem. Megyn Kelly posted this. I don't trust her as far as I could throw her, right? For all I know, that's a video from 3 years ago, right? I have no idea. But I do know that whoever that was there got bumped by, as Ian Gilmore said, at a slow speed. But if somebody is willing to bump somebody at a slow speed with a car and is speeding up, that could be a threat.
Yeah, but
it's not.
If you're standing in front of a car, you're asking to get bumped. If a person's pushing you out of the way slowly, and from what I saw, he moved to the side. Once he moved to the side, the car sped up when he was out of harm's way. That's a different story. Don't stand in front of fucking cars, man.
Wait a second. If you're a police officer, if you have a reasonable expectation not to be hit by a car, that people are going to comply. When you say, hey, whatever, I don't know what the orders were. And I don't even know if that video is legit. All I'm saying is that's one of the angles. That's one of the videos that's out there. And that's kind of my point. I don't know when that occurred, if it was before or after, I have no idea. But I do know if you have somebody that's willing to hit a cop with a car at whatever speed, it's reasonable to think that person's dangerous. Does that justify shooting? No, not necessarily. But I
think nudging somebody out of the way with the car isn't necessarily a reasonable expectation that they're going to run over somebody. Ian Gilmore asked, my question is, why was his gun out in the first place? It wasn't out. He drew it and then fired, from what I understand, unless you know something different, Michael.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think he drew it and then fired. Once she started using the car to go to escape, he drew the gun and fired.
There's super slow angles, right? Hold on. There's super slow angles that are like, look, the wheels are this way, the bumper's this way, and you can see the wheels shift. That's all great. But, and I can't believe, like, I'm not trying to defend ICE. Fuck ICE. Get them out of business. But it's easy when you're watching a YouTube video of wheels turning like this to say, oh, look, the wheels are clearly turning the other direction, than when you're actually faced with somebody that bumped a cop with a car and is now getting ready to speed off. I don't know if there's a crowd at the other end of that. I don't know what's over,
I don't think there was.
But I don't know. I don't know. Are there protesters? Are there other agents? I have no idea yet. Right. I don't know. And once I understand, then I'll once I've seen more, I'll have more of a thing. I do know this, that when somebody that actually has knowledge of the law, that has knowledge of philosophical principles, tells me to slow my roll, I'm slowing my roll.
Well, I'll tell you what, if a cop tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to fuck around. I'm not going to try to get beat up. I'm not going to try to, do what some of these people do, because you're going to come out on the losing end of that. You might as well just let yourself get cuffed, be as possible. You're going to spend some time in jail, but you can get out of it later. Don't resist. That only makes it worse.
This is absolutely true from Ian Gilmore. I think this is not unusual police behavior. The real problem is the creation of the situation in the first place. And that is something with which I agree 100%.
And not only that, Michael, when you think about it, they put out an application to hire 50,000 more of these people. When they're already functioning at an extra constitutional level, that's going to incentivize a certain kind of person to gravitate towards that job. Don't you think? Like the more power the police have, the more power beyond what they're constitutionally given to have, the more it attracts a certain kind of guy or a certain kind of gal to that business, right? Just like Prohibition attracted a certain type of person to a business that would take risks, would flout the law, would use violence without even thinking about it. You're going to have a certain type of authoritarian personality now going into this particular police department, because they're able to exercise powers that most police can't exercise. What did that say? I missed it.
Ian Gilmore was talking about Eric Garner when he got choked out, and he said the same thing was the guy selling loose cigarettes that was killed by police years ago in a chokehold. The law shouldn't exist, and the guy should be able to sell his cigs. Yes.
Exactly. And he was surrounded by 6 cops, Michael, and like choked out on the sidewalk. I mean, I saw that choke. It was a straight arm bar across the guy's windpipe, which is the way you kill people. It's not even a way to just subdue somebody and make them go unconscious. The guy simply did an arm bar across his throat, put his head there, and that was it. That's how you kill people. Anyway, yeah, that was wrong. It's wrong to make cigarettes so exorbitantly expensive in New York City that it costs $20 or $30 a pack for cigarettes, so that people will go to the black market. Guys like this poor homeless guy who was just selling cigarettes to get along, who's selling them for $5 a cigarette or something, and to not only just arrest the guy or question the guy or even stop the guy, but to kill him for it. Come on. Do you ever know what happened to that cop?
I believe he was acquitted. The problem is with a lot of this stuff is it's dependent on the law. Like I remember with what was his name? George Zimmerman killed Tayshaun Martin and got arrested. And a lot of people were, it's blah, 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 blah. What matters is what the law says, not what your emotions tell you about a situation, right? Now you may disagree with the law, that's fine, but the law in Florida allowed for the behavior that Zimmerman engaged in. So
Stand your ground law is a real thing.
So your emotional reactions are not relevant. And if this ICE agent followed protocol, right? If the law allows that, then the law is a problem. If it was bad, I'm not necessarily saying the law is a problem, but it could be the law is a problem. But when you start condemning police for following the law in split-second situations, that's not really fair. Question the law. It would be my way to go. Now, this might be against the law altogether. Like I said, I don't know.
I don't know either. And with Zimmerman, stand your ground laws, when a criminal is attacking you, you have the right to defend yourself. You don't necessarily, I don't know how those laws change, Michael, when you're actually pursuing the criminal, hunting them down, sort of following them into a situation that gets you into a sticky scenario, which is what Zimmerman did. So the Department of Defense spending as a share of U.S. GDP is going up. What do you think about this, Michael?
More spending. What could go? Well, it's wonderful, right? I mean, let's just keep spending, keep driving us further and further into debt, and deficit Don will fix it all because he's fighting the left.
Yeah, I don't see how he reconciles his claim at owning affordability when he's spending more and more money than I think any president previous to him.
Because he doesn't care. That's why.
Because paradoxes don't matter. He doesn't have to work out the paradox. He doesn't have to find consistency. He just does what he does, and I guess he thinks it's all going to just come out in the wash, or people aren't going to notice the fact that I wonder how much money they're spending to occupy Venezuela at the moment, to keep that massive military presence over there. And then God knows what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows. He's getting in bed with the commies over there and not even trying to bring democratic governance back to Venezuela again. I have a feeling the celebration of the Venezuelan people is going to be short-lived if he keeps getting in bed with these people. The woman who is the vice president, who is now president of Venezuela, is a horrific human being.
Yeah.
If you read a little bit about her history, Michael, did you read a little bit about this woman's history?
Yeah, in the article I sent you yesterday.
Holy Christ. I mean, she was part of the intelligence apparatus. She tamped down dissidents. I mean, she was part and parcel of the torture machine of the Chavez and Maduro regime. She's a bad human being.
Now, instead of getting in bed with socialists, perhaps Trump should just stay in bed with Stormy Daniels. What do you think?
I think the world would be a much better place. Melania would be safe, for one. The rest of us would be safe because he wouldn't be exercising his micro penis issues on the rest of us. I'm still sticking to that theory.
He exercises his micro penis on you?
He's not just on me, Michael. He's exercising it on you.
No, he ain't.
Yes, he is. He's trying. He's trying. Wait. Persephone says, comment on Instagram. So who gets the 25 million bounty Biden offered for the capture of Maduro? How much do you want to bet the Trump clan gets this bounty?
No, Trump already said they got to make sure they don't give this out to anybody.
They don't give it out to anybody.
That's what he said. That's what he said. I don't know. What do you want from me?
They don't give it out to anybody who's not named Trump or affiliated with the Trump organization. Let's just put it that way. I know I'm starting a rumor, folks.
That's all right. We don't mind that.
So you sent me something from Mike Allen here.
It's actually Axios, but Mike Allen is at Axios, but they're not allowing me. I don't know. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So Trump surprised Wall Street by saying he's taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, linking the move to housing affordability. We were just
look at Persephone's face. I just want to show you. Do you see Persephone's face?
She looks terrified.
Do you know why?
Why is she worried? Because
we discussed that at the beginning of the show when Rock asked the question.
Yes, I know we did, but we're going over it again. So okay. Stephanie, I did not forget that. I know we did. I thought we were just going to go over it in a little bit.
Why?
Why not? It's important.
Well, then let's just keep talking about the same story all show. We'll just keep repeating
important
it.
Because it's important.
There's a lot. What about the stuff about
repetition, Michael? Repetition is the essence of learning.
What's that? Didn't I send you the article about a fake drug cartel, the Tantrum Day Solis or something? That'd be better to talk about, I think.
Oh, you want to talk about that instead of going back over this?
Yeah, I think that'd be better.
All right, I'll do it.
Race is confused. It's just a boomer moment for.
It's not a boomer moment. I actually wanted to go over it again.
All right, we'll go over it again.
No, now it's too late. It's too late.
It's never too late.
No, it's too late. I think this was that particular article was in this Reason magazine thing that you sent me.
It was, yeah.
Which let's see if it'll
Cirque du Soleil something. I don't know.
Yeah. So why don't you talk while I'm trying to get up? Why don't you talk about this fake cartel thing and why Trump thinks it's a thing and why it's actually not a thing?
Can you get me the name of the thing because it's relevant? I'll go find it. I'll take care of it.
why the DOJ has stopped describing Maduro as the head of a literal drug cartel.
Yes. And what's the name of that cartel?
It's something de Sol.
Cirque du Soleil? No. De los Solis?
You're close, but it's not showing up on my feed for some reason. I can't access it.
All right. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to explain to you what's happening. What happened? So evidently they designated this organization as a terrorist organization, and they were alleged to be a cartel de los Soles. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Persephone. And so they did that the last time around, but evidently this is a figure of speech in Venezuela. It's not a real cartel. It basically like refers to, government corruption type thing, right? It's, there's actually a word, patronage. It's a word they use for the patronage system down there in Venezuela. And they had been designating this group as a terror organization, but evidently in the new indictment, they've gotten rid of that. And they refer to it now as a patronage system that they got in Venezuela. Not a cartel, certainly not a terrorist organization. But again, he's fighting the left. So it doesn't matter how dumb he is. It doesn't matter how he lies. None of that matters. He's fighting the left, and you should be proud and grateful.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, Michael. But what does that do to their accusations that, that they are part of a narco-terrorist regime when this drug cartel is not really a drug cartel? They're going to have to change the indictments now to something else?
I know they changed the indictment already. What do you mean? That was the whole point.
Oh, they did?
Did you read the article?
I did read it, but I'm trying to call it up right now. So what did they change it to? Remind me.
I just told you they changed it to designating it as a patronage organization.
Yeah, but
you
can't be indicted for being a part of a patronage.
No, they just named it in the new thing. They didn't indict it for that.
Yeah, but you can't. But it's not even something that you can take legal action against.
I don't know that they did. Now I got to go find the article.
I think they're more.
I've just got to find the article because
I think they would be better served to make other claims about the guy. They should drop the narco-terrorism completely and make other claims about the guy.
Okay. The 2020 indictment that federal prosecutors obtained during President Donald Trump's first term, they charged former Venezuelan dictator with participating in conspiracy involving narco-terrorism, cocaine trafficking, and machine gun possession. The notable difference that highlights the slipperiness of Trump's attempts to justify legally dubious policies. The 2020 indictment places Maduro at the center of the Venezuelan Cartel de las Soles. Now, actually, at the time they said that something, so that doesn't matter. Okay, the new indictment refers just twice to Cartel de las Soles, which it describes as a patronage system run by top Venezuelan officials. It alleges that Maduro participates in, perpetuates, and protects a culture of corruption in which powerful Venezuelan elites enrich themselves. That's the relevance of mentioning it now, but back in the day, they mentioned it because they were saying he was the head of a terror organization.
That's funny. That is funny.
It is, but it's also a bit scary. Let's keep it real. Can we keep it real?
Let's keep it real. Well, government is scary.
That's what I'm saying. The government is scary.
Government's scary. Government's incompetent, and they do stupid things like this, and people just seem to roll with it. Michael, you sent me a very interesting article here. Can we continue? Can we go on with other articles, or did you want to talk about this?
No, we've discussed now that Trump is an idiot, that they call the patronage system a cartel because they don't understand that just because it's called Cartel de las Soles doesn't mean it's an actual fucking cartel.
So this article was by Oliver Lee Bateman. It was Discipline and Justice. It starts out here: the American criminal justice system provides room and board to more prisoners, 1.8 million, across state and federal prisons and county jails than any other liberal democracy in the world. Even as our streets overflow with repeat offenders, habituated to violent crime, and mentally ill individuals left to their own sad devices, we proclaim rehabilitation while practicing warehousing.
Yeah. So this guy's a jackass that wrote this article.
Okay. Explain why. I wanted to get into it a little bit more, but explain.
I'm going to tell you two things that he did. So he's saying basically we should return to flogging and shit like that. Okay,
Right.
the reason that you can take nothing this guy seriously, I'm going to give two things that I'm going to post. Mark, can you post the article to X? Do you know how to do that so I don't have to do it, please?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. And I'm going to explain to everybody two things within this article that anybody can look up and verify. The one is he says that 22% of males in prison are sexually assaulted. Right when I read that, I said, there's no way that's true. So he provides a link. So I went and I looked in the link. The link he provides doesn't even claim what he's claiming. The link says 22% of men in prison are physically assaulted, while I think it was 2 or 3% are sexually assaulted. I'm very skeptical of those numbers. But nevertheless, the claim he makes in the article isn't matched by the claim that's actually argued for in the link that he shows. The other thing he says is that particular types of sex offenders, particularly those attracted to that involve young children, have extraordinarily high recidivism rates. Again, immediate red flag came up for me because I know that it's a myth that sex offenders have higher recidivism rates than other offenders.
Really?
Yeah, it shocked me because you always hear that. But when I actually studied criminology and recidivism, I saw no, they actually have relatively low recidivism rates. So I looked into this a little this morning. Yes, sex offenders that involve young children and people they know have higher rates of recidivism than other sex offenders. They don't have relatively high recidivist rates to regular offenders. So when somebody writes an article proclaiming themselves as a sort of an expert, he talks about, he's a legal historian, and they get two things like that so wrong, I just basically throw out what they say. But I mean, his idea that you're going to flog people, dude, just get out of here with that nonsense. It's just stupid.
Well, I mean, the conventional wisdom that I've heard was that sex offenders and particularly child molesters are incurable. Do they suffer from something incurable?
Well, here's the problem, right? They may very well reoffend at high rates because a lot of kids don't report it when people are, there's shame. There's all kinds of things going on. So They may not get caught. So we can't speak to the reoffending because by definition, if they're not arrested, we don't know. Now, there may be studies where people are self-reporting and things like that, where you could, maybe say so, whatever. But the recidivist rates are low. That's what we know. That's contrary to his claim. So are they incurable? Are they going to keep doing it? I can't speak to that. I can only speak to the recidivist rates that he's citing and that he's wrong about.
He seems to claim that, flogging and caning work very well for Singapore, one of the cleanest countries on the face of the earth, in part because if you're caught throwing garbage on the ground or graffitiing a building, you get caned. And there was that famous case a decade or so ago about that American kid who, did he graffiti a building or something? He did something like that. And he was caned 10 times.
Well, I'll tell you this. If you're asking me if it would be a deterrent to people putting graffiti, if you came and caned them immediately, yeah, that'd be a deterrent. Nobody wants to get caned. But the farther the punishment is separated from the crime, the less deterrent effect it's going to have. And that's never going to happen here anyways, because we have due process. We have the Eighth Amendment. We have the way the Eighth Amendment's been interpreted. So,
but also he did something kind of weird in the article too, Michael, and I have it posted on X for anybody who wants to read it. What he posited was alternatives. In other words, so the alternative sentence could be either you go to jail, where we spend apparently $280,000 per prisoner, or you can opt for this other punishment. Now, if you opt for this other punishment, would it be a violation of the Eighth Amendment if you do it voluntarily?
Well, I think it would, but it's also incredibly stupid, right? Because if I'm opting for this over the other thing, then this is not going to be the big deterrent.
Spank me, please.
Yeah.
Well, what one could opt for it thinking that the caning doesn't sound as bad as it in fact is, and then once they get in the middle of it, they understand it's something.
I'm skeptical, but I'll tell you this, on a different note, my facial hair is growing back a little bit, and I'm watching. Well, Persephone obviously does by the way she's looking at me. I'm just saying.
No, Persephone, the way she's looking at you is somebody who's trying to see if there is, in fact, facial hair there that is not there. With
She's
me, Michael,
ogling me.
you don't have to search. You don't have to search.
No, dude, I got to tell you, Mark,
Post-pubescent means the hair just comes out.
that's not the win you think it is.
No, it is a win.
No, it's not.
Speaking of wins, Michael, this is a perfect segue to Zoran Mamdani's call for warm.
You know today's bubble bath day?
It's actually bubble bath day?
Yeah.
When did this become bubble bath day? Who designates these days like this?
I don't know. Yesterday was National Gas Passing Day.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
What?
Or the day before. I get confused. But
You're
yeah,
lying.
I'm not lying.
This is the first time Michael has ever lied to me.
Look it up. Persephone, check it out. National Gas Passing Day, United States.
Well, you know what? I wish I knew that, Michael, because then I could
what?
I could have had a response to my wife every time she got mad at me for farting in the house. I could have said, "It's National Gas Passing Day. I have a free."
Oh my God! I wonder if do they have a National Micropenis Day?
They should, because those people are very upset, and they need a day, not just of mourning, but of I think of general compassion. The community needs to show them a little compassion. If they do that, maybe they wouldn't want to become tyrants and dictators, Michael. Dictators.
Oh my God.
So,
dude, when you put the emphasis on it, it ruins the joke. I'm just going to tell you.
Speaking of dictators and micropenises, Zoran Mamdani's call for
wait.
What?
Do you see what's on the screen?
No, I'm looking at something else. Hold on. National Pass Gas Day, January 7th. Who the fuck makes this stuff up? Is this what Congress is doing all day long? They're stealing our money and then they're coming up with pretend holidays?
I hate when people say that. I hate that saying.
What?
Pretend holidays, fake holidays, made up holidays. They're all made up.
Yeah, but this is especially made up. You could see reasons for some of them, Michael.
What do you mean especially made up?
You can see reasons for some of them. Can you see a reason for this?
Yes, the flatulators out there want to be celebrated.
People who are flagellantly challenged, or people who are.
Well, if they're challenged,
people who want their flatulence to be recognized as a positive thing because they are. I guess they are contributing to earth warming, which is greening the earth, right? So in a sense, they want to be recognized for participating in the global warming that is causing an agricultural revolution. So maybe
maybe. But can you tell us about
Mamdani's call for warm collectivism is dead on arrival. So it says the day before the Trump administration captured and extradited Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, many on the right had a field day mocking something the newly minted mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, said during the inaugural address. The proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America proclaimed, "We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism." Michael, when I heard that, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die. The phrase warmth of collectivism offended many of us because collectivism is widely understood as a generic label for extreme left-wing political systems. Now, understandably, the following night's big news, socialist dictator Venezuela, itself a shining example of warm collectivism, being removed at the point of a gun, quieted the ideological brouhaha. But I think it's worth returning to something else Mamdani said in his inaugural address, and in that same sentence, rugged individualism. Now, this term was coined by President Hoover in 1928. I wouldn't consider Hoover a rugged individualist, but we have Democrats to thank for this immortality because Democrats and Democratic Socialists have been running against it and against Hoover since.
Let's think about something, Mark. If you're a leftist, right, and you can identify Hoover as a rugged capitalist, think about how close now, or how, I don't know, maybe it's far, I don't know, but you've moved the goalposts, right? Because if that's capitalism, and we want to go a little left. Well, we got to get, a little bit more regulation. You don't have to really go far. It's also an easy target to say, look at the failures when they're, you're saying capitalism failed when it's really interventionism failed. And that, so that's what they keep doing. And they call Trump a capitalist. Trump is not a capitalist. If anything, to quote the great Gene Epstein, Trump is a crapitalist.
That is true. He is a capitalist. And we say that all the time, folks, that he's not a capitalist. We said it from the moment he was elected. What you will see over the next 4 years is not capitalism. Take it straight from the capitalist's mouth.
All right. Can I give the capitalist start of the day now?
Go for it.
So when I first got out of prison, I was interviewed by the Ayn Rand fan club. When I saw they were called the Ayn Rand fan club, I thought they were going to be actual objectivists and pro-capitalism. To the contrary, I found out that they were basically Trumpsters, that it was all about, let's fight the left. And they told me we have to fight woke. That was their whole thing. And what I told them then, and I'll say it now, is woke is a paper tiger. It's a ridiculous philosophy. CRT is ridiculous, critical race theory. But you have to beat these things with sound philosophy, not with bullshit, not with Donald Trump. So if you actually want to fight the left, then you expose their errors with reason. You demonstrate a rational path forward. You don't just come up with your own interventionist systems, your own socialism, your own fascism, and sing kumbaya about it. You need to advocate for reason. You need to advocate for free markets, and you need to do so consistently. And that doesn't happen by aligning yourself with an irrational whim worshiping thug like Donald Trump. Let's advocate actual capitalism. Let's advocate a philosophy of reason, and let's start doing it right now, as Mark Pellegrino is going to take.
You could do that right now by liking and subscribing to this station, to this channel. You could do it on YouTube and make sure you share it liberally across social media platforms. The algorithm likes that, and we want the algorithm to like liberty, individual rights, property rights. Those are the things that are going to make our society benevolent. The question I have for you is, do you think our military involvement in Venezuela is going to turn into a boots on the ground situation where America is going to have to occupy Venezuela and take over the oil fields? And then, as Trump says, he's going to control the oil fields. Will this require military intervention or not? What would you prefer to see happen to Venezuela? I'd love your answers. Please go to YouTube and answer that question. We will see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And you have 23 hours to check your premises, folks. I hope that we have done a little bit to move the needle in the liberty direction. Until that time, peace.
And check out my Everyday Ethics today on this channel at 2:30.
And I'm watching your debate, too. Watch his debate because I'm going to be watching it in the next few minutes. All right, guys?
All right.
See you later. See you tomorrow. Peace.